Alright everybody, today we're going to take a look at the Legion Timewalking Mage Tower for the Windwalker monk. We got the armor set today. I actually got it pretty quick. I think this is one of the easiest encounters as long as you know the mechanics of the fight and pay attention to what's happening, you'll get it done pretty fast. We are going to discuss the usual things. We're going to start with talents, then we're going to go to gear, then we're going to go to consumables, and then we're going to move on to macros. And then we'll talk a little bit about the encounter, and then we'll actually watch the video. So if you guys have been watching the series, please subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if we've been helping, or if you've been doing them with us. And with that said, let's get started on the talents. So we're going to take Chi Wave. Does a decent amount of damage and a lot of healing, and we will need the healing in the fight. Next we have Tiger's Lust, just for mobility. Not really super big deal. After that we have Fist of the White Tiger. Again, not super important, but it did help a little bit. We could probably take Ascension and be fine as well. After that we have Good Karma, just gives us a little bit of heal and also gives us the increase to the karma damage as well. Then at last we have a Diffuse Magic next. Reduces magic damage taken. We can actually diffuse magic the dot back on him, but I was just using it in the enrage phase, as you'll see in the video. After that we have Dance of Chi G. Spinning Chi has a chance to make your next spinning Crank free and deal 200% additional damage. If you've ever done any keys on your Windwalker, you know a lot about Dance of Chi G, or at least you should. Pretty much what we're going to do is when the eggs come down, we're going to Tiger Palm one, Blackout Kick the other, and then Tiger Palm, what's his name? Tugar. And then we're gonna do a spinning crane kick and the eggs will pretty much die. Super simple, nothing crazy. You'll see in the encounter. Lastly, we have Whirling Dragon Punch. This is performs a devastating whirling upward strike, dealing 4,395 damage to all nearby enemies. Only usable when both Fists of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. So you could probably get away with Serenity here or Spiritual Focus if you wanted. But we just went with Whirling Dragon Punch because it fits in the rotation quite nicely, and it's a comfort pick. Alright, now on to gear. You could get away with probably any gear you wanted, as long as you pay attention to what's going on in the fight. I personally ran my Heart of Azeroth, my Corruption Cloak, it's not even enchanted, with my two rings from the actual Legion expansion, just because they're both triple stat. I used the Hateful Chain because it was the best trinket I had for DPS, and I used the Flayed Wing Toxin. I just used a Celestial Guidance. I should have used Celestial Guidance Sinful Revelation, but I had Lightless Force because I tank on my monk generally, so I had that as my secondary enchant. But my stat priority going in was just crit mastery, kind of even, and then verse. All right, next we got consumables. We're going to use sharpening stone and weight stone, depending on what weapons you have, just for the extra attack power. We're going to use a desolate armor kit. You can use crit mastery, verse, or main stat food, up to you. We're going to use augment rune. We're going to use Potion of Unbridled Fury. And we're going to use Drums of Ferocity. So just the normal consumables, nothing crazy. For Flask, we're going to use the Greater Flask of the Currents, because it gives 31 agility instead of the 19 from the newer flasks. And that's all the consumables we're going to go over. Next, we're going to look at some macros. Concerning our macros, we have a Paralysis Focus macro. I actually opted not to use this because every time the worm burrows, he drops focus, so I thought it would be easier to just tap over and hit Paralysis if you're having trouble with that. You can probably make a at or target equals the name of the worm Paralysis. We also have a cooldowns macro that is just Invoke Xuen, and it's usually weapons of order. But obviously there was no weapons of order. You would also put your potion and trinket here. So use Ocean of Unbridled Fury. That would go there. And then we have a Storm, Earth, and Fire macro that also uses Weapons of Order and would use a Trinket. And this is where we would put our Trinket if we had one. That's the only two macros I used are, sorry, three macros. These are the only two that I used, but you can use the focus macro as well if you'd like. All right, that's it for the macro. So let's talk about the encounter real quick. Tugar is going to cast Fell Burst. His Fell Burst can be interrupted by our Spearhand Strike every time he casts it. The Worm casts Sonic Scream. The first one he casts as soon as he comes up can be Paralysis. And then if you take Tugar over to the Worm, you can leg sweep both Tugar and the Worm and interrupt his second cast. It is not required to interrupt every cast of Sonic Scream, but it is suggested because it does a little bit of damage. Now, we do have our cooldowns as far as Diffuse Magic and Fortifying Brew, which we can rotate if needed, but I just used Expel Harm, Chi Wave, and then if I got low, I did cast some Vivifies. You'll see here my Chi Wave did 13.8k healing, Healing Sphere did 12k from killing the worms, Expel Harm did 7.6k, Vivify only did 5.2. So, Tugar also uses the totem. You can kill the totem with your spinning crane kick while you're spinning around on the bosses, or you can target the totem and use Crackling Jade Lightning. It takes literally half a second to tick on it, and it's dead immediately. Then you just go back to DPSing Tugar the worm. Now, when the little worms spawn, the eggs will spawn first. We're gonna Tiger Palm one, Blackout Kick the other, Tiger Palm Tugar, and then Spinning Crane Kick. And then if they're not dead in one Spinning Crane Kick, you'll Tiger Palm and the Spinning Crane Kick again. And the reason we're doing Tiger Palm between each thing is because our mastery makes it to where as long as we don't use the same move twice in a row, it gets additional. It gets 26.9% more damage from me. It would go off whatever your mastery is. Last thing we need to talk about is whenever he's shifting between phase 1 where the worm is up at the front and you have the tank Tugar next to him, to phase 2 where the rocks, he's casting Earthquake and the rocks are falling from the sky, you do have to lead the worm through the boulders, and those take off a stack of his damage reduction. He starts the fight with 90% damage reduction, so there's no reason to hit him at all. After the 90% damage reduction is off or down to about 4 stacks, each boulder he hits removes 1 stack. When it's down to 40%, you can start focusing him or cleaving Tugar on him. I was actually killing Tugar too fast and had to stop DPS to DPS the worm. The worm needs to be at 35 to 40% before Tugar dies. If you kill him when the worm is over that, you will likely die to the enrage. After we get all his stacks off, he takes full damage, obviously. That's when you're going to want to blow all your cooldowns and main target the worm. Do not target Tugar. After you get the worm down to, as I said, 35 to 40%, you can go ahead and kill Tugar and then kill the worm. Do not touch of death Tugar, save it for the worm. Alright, that's our entire encounter, so we're going to get over to the actual encounter video now, and then we'll watch and see how it plays out. Alright, let's go ahead and get started here. We're just going to go straight into Tugar. Come on, buddy. We should have interrupted that cast, but we didn't because Tugar wouldn't move. And I was trying to figure out why. Okay, let's see where the worm comes up. He came up right there, so we're gonna try to make him hit 2. Only hit 1. Interrupt that. Yeah, had the worm hit 2. But he's probably not gonna. Yeah, he didn't come up in a place where we could get 2, so we're just gonna make him hit this 1. Interrupt Tugar. Worm's gonna come up, Sonic Stream immediately, so we're gonna paralysis it. Still doing single target on Tugar. Now, Worm's about to do his scream again. So this is where we sweep. Gonna interrupt, you have to kill the totem. These are spell harm to heal and our chi wave. Go ahead and reflect damage there. Interrupt that. He's down to 5 stacks. Still not ideal, but we need to use some charges of stuff, so we're just gonna go ahead and put some damage in him. Sweep that one, because we parried the first one. Interrupt that. And he's gonna go back to his earthquake phase. Should get a double there. Yep. Interrupts. Kill the worm. Got a totem coming up. Interrupt. Worm is gonna come back up. Interrupt the worm. He's got 2 stacks left, so we are gonna be full DPSing worm here. Spell burst. Next Sonic Scream, we're gonna sweep. Here it is. Okay, got 3 spitters. See if we can get 2. Alright, gotta make him hit this rock here, interrupt that. Okay, so he should be kill that with our crackling jade lightning because it's far away. Interrupt Tugar. Go ahead and put our return damage on the sweep here. Stay on worm. Back to earthquake phase. AoE it down. We don't necessarily need to make him hit the rocks anymore because he's all done. But if you make him hit the rocks, he can't hit you with the stun he does while he's under the ground. Well, let me rephrase that. He can. He's not supposed to hit you. Interrupts. And now I come up to the front because it's that time again. Stun with paralysis. Sorry, not stun. The ones that are a little desynced scare the shit out of me. Stun this with our stun. Here we're gonna do our abilities. Get everything ready. Go ahead and always do the interrupt first. Run him through these so we don't have to worry about getting hit. Interrupt the worm. Get the damage, as much damage we can into the worm here. The good thing about Monk and this challenge is you don't really have to worry about these eggs at all. We're purposefully kind of delaying Tugar's death here. Actually, I'm just gonna kill him. We're gonna stun that. Pop all of our cooldowns here. Go ahead and pop fortifying. Touch of death. Go ahead and get ready for our stun. There's our stun, and we will kill. And that's the Tugar fight for Monk. Make sure you're killing totems either with your AoE or your Crackling Jade Lightning. Just keep AoEing the worms with your Spinning Crane Kick. Make sure you hit them each with one single target ability to increase the damage. Interrupt Tugar with your Spearhand Strike. Rotate Paralysis and Leg Sweep on the worm. And you're golden. Thank you guys for watching yet another Legion Timewalking Mage Tower video. Please click the subscribe button below the video and hit the thumbs up to show some love. Be greatly appreciated. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, please put them in the comment section below and I'll answer them as soon as I get a chance. As always, thank you guys again and have a great day.